He stood in my kitchen, smiling like a stranger. He held a manila folder and said, "I want a divorce." Then he added the knife. "Because your baby isn't mine." My hands didn't shake, but my stomach dropped anyway. He said it loud on purpose, so the neighbors could hear. And right before he left, he told me one sentence that changed everything. "If you've ever been framed by someone you loved, subscribe. Because what I did next saved my life." I'm Elena. I'm 35. I'm a home caregiver. I handle emergencies for a living. So, when my marriage caught fire, I didn't scream. I documented. My husband Marcus used to call me too calm, like it was a flaw. He liked big reactions. Tears, begging, apologies. I didn't give him that. And I think that's when he started hating me. At first, it was small. He'd joke about my job. "You spend more time with old men than me." He'd check my phone for fun, then forget to give it back. He'd ask questions that weren't questions. "So, who were you really with?" But the red flags weren't loud. They were consistent. Then came the weird compliments. "You're lucky I'm patient with you." And the sudden interest in money. "Put the house in my name. For taxes." I laughed the first time. He didn't. That's when I should have known. I should have known, but I didn't. It happened on a Tuesday. The kind of day nobody remembers. I came home from a 12-hour shift. My scrub still smelled like antiseptic and lavender lotion. Marcus was at the table. 2 mugs. Only one was used. He didn't look up when I entered. Just slid a folder toward me. "Read it." I opened it. Divorce papers. My eyes found one line first. "Because he wanted them to." My mouth went dry. Not fear, not guilt. Shock. He leaned back and finally looked at me. "You thought you were slick." Pause. "But you got pregnant at the wrong time." I blinked. "What are you talking about?" He stood and raised his voice. Not angry, theatrical. "You cheated on me." Then louder. "You cheated on me, Elena." He wanted the neighbors to hear. He wanted the shame to have witnesses. Then he did it. He opened the front door and called out my name like a warning. "Tell your little boyfriend I said congratulations." Silence. Then footsteps outside, someone slowing down. My cheeks burned. Not because it was true, because it was designed. And right before he walked out, he turned back and smiled. "I'm taking the house." Pause. "And I'm taking the baby." I wasn't just losing a marriage. I was losing my name, my home, my savings, my dignity. And the worst part? I was 6 months pregnant. My body was already working overtime. Now I had to defend my reality against a man who rehearsed lies like speeches. And I knew something immediately. He wasn't accusing me to leave. He was accusing me to win. But something didn't feel right. After he left, I stood in the doorway. The air felt thin. On the floor near the table leg was a crumpled page from the folder. Just one. It wasn't legal. It wasn't official. It was a typed statement. A humiliation piece. A paragraph describing me as unfaithful. Another calling me unstable. It looked useless. Like trash. I picked it up anyway. Folded it neatly. Put it in my work bag. I didn't think much of it at first. 3 weeks later, my belly was heavier, and my house was colder. Marcus had moved into the guest room, but acted like he owned the whole place. He'd walk past me with his phone angled away. He'd take calls outside. He'd come back smiling. Then one night, he said it again. "I'm filing this week." Pause. "And I'll make sure everyone knows why." I stared at him. "Why are you doing this?" He shrugged. "Because you made me." That's when my phone rang. I almost ignored it. It was my OB's office. They said my next appointment was moved. I hadn't moved it. I checked my calendar. Someone had accessed my patient portal. My throat tightened. Not because I was scared. Because I understood the pattern. Marcus didn't want the truth. He wanted control of the timeline. But why? Then I remembered something small. Something Marcus said months ago. A random comment. In the car. No reason. You ever wonder if babies can happen by accident? At the time, I laughed. Now it felt sharp. That's when I noticed. His story had one hole. A hole he kept stepping around. He never asked who I supposedly cheated with. He only kept repeating, the timing doesn't match. He was building a case made of dates. And if he was obsessed with dates, it meant the truth was also hiding in dates. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. Just one line. Check his medical records. My heart didn't race. It sank. Because only one person would send that. And only one reason they would. But something didn't feel right. As a caregiver, I deal with paperwork. Insurance forms, medication lists, appointment summaries. People leave documents everywhere. Kitchen drawers, glove compartments, coat pockets. So I did what I always do at work. I searched calmly, not desperately. In Marcus's desk, under a stack of mail, I found an envelope from a clinic. Not an OB clinic. A men's health clinic. It wasn't a smoking gun. It was a match. My hands stayed steady, but my skin went cold. Inside was a billing statement. And a date. A date that landed right before I got pregnant. I stared at it for a long time. Then I heard the front door. Marcus was home early. I slid the papers back, exactly how I found them, and I smiled when he walked in. He kissed my forehead. Too gentle, too performative. How was your day? He asked. I watched his eyes. They flicked toward the desk. Just for a second. That second was my answer. Then he said softly, like he was proud, "Don't worry, I'll be fair in court." I nodded, and in my head I heard it clearly. He's not fair. He's prepared. Then my phone rang again. I met with my OB the next morning. Not to cry, not to vent. To ask one question. Can you print my medical timeline? Everything. Appointments, ultrasounds, conception estimate. The nurse raised a brow. I didn't explain. I took the printout home. I laid it flat on the table. Then I called a private lab. A prenatal paternity test. Not because I doubted myself. Because I wanted to take his favorite weapon and turn it into a mirror. But something didn't feel right. The lab told me the cost. I didn't flinch. I've cleaned vomit off floors. I've held hands through death. Money is just paper. Truth is priceless. The test took time, and Marcus kept tightening the screws. He'd say things casually in front of people. At a family dinner. Stress is bad for the baby, especially when you're hiding things. At the grocery store. Do you think the cashier can tell? He wanted me to snap, to look unstable. I didn't. I collected everything. Screenshots, messages, dates, and that crumpled humiliation statement. I made a copy. I highlighted his words. The parts where he called me unfit. The parts where he claimed I was unsafe. Because that paper wasn't trash. It was intent. Then, on a Friday afternoon, the lab called. I stared at the number. My thumb hovered. I almost ignored it. I answered. The woman's voice was neutral. Professional. "Hi, Elena. Your results are ready." My throat tightened. Okay. Paternity probability, 99.99%. I didn't breathe. Not relief. Focus. Because that meant something bigger. It meant Marcus knew. Or he would know. So why accuse me anyway? That's when it hit me. Oh shit. He wasn't afraid the baby wasn't his. He was counting on the accusation to destroy me, so he could take everything while I was defending my honor. And suddenly, that clinic bill mattered. I went back to the desk. I pulled it out again. Men's health clinic. The date. The service code. I Googled nothing. I didn't need to. I called the clinic and asked one simple question. What kind of visit is code? I read the numbers. The receptionist hesitated. then said, "That's a fertility-related evaluation." Fertility. My eyes dropped to my pregnancy timeline. Estimated conception date. And the clinic date was right before it. Meaning Marcus was trying to fix something, or hide something, or stage something. Then a third piece landed in my lap. A mutual friend sent me a screenshot, a photo. Marcus at a restaurant, with a woman, her hand on his wrist, her smile too familiar. And under the photo was the caption, "Finally free." But something didn't feel right, because Marcus wasn't free. Not yet. So why post that? Unless he already believed he'd won. I didn't confront him in a storm. I waited for a quiet room. Sunday morning. Coffee. No music. Marcus sat across from me, scrolling his phone, barely looking at my face. I placed 3 things on the table. No drama. A sealed envelope. A printed medical timeline. And his own humiliation statement copied and highlighted. He glanced at them. Smirked. "What's this?" he asked. I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence press him. He looked up. Our eyes locked. I spoke softly. "You said timing didn't match." So I checked the timing. His smirk faded by half a centimeter. Just enough. I slid the timeline forward. My finger tapped the conception estimate. Then I slid the clinic bill forward. My finger tapped his appointment date. Then I held up the sealed envelope. He leaned back, trying to regain height. "You're being paranoid," he said. I nodded once. "Open it." He didn't move. That's when I noticed his jaw clench. I smiled. Not cruel. Certain. "You built your whole story around a lie," I said. "And you did it loudly." He swallowed. "Open it," he repeated, but weaker. I slid it closer. He opened it with 2 fingers. He read the first line, and went still. No shouting. No rage. Just a man watching his script burn. He looked up slowly. His eyes tried to cut me. "Where did you get this?" he asked. I kept my voice level. "Same place you got your story." "Paper." He tried to laugh. It came out thin. "You think that's enough?" he said. I leaned in slightly. Not aggressive. Just present. "No," I whispered. "It's more than enough." He stared at the highlighted humiliation statement, the one where he called me unfit. And for the first time, he looked nervous, because he understood the trap. That worthless accusation? It wasn't worthless. It was proof of what he intended to do to me. And I had it in his words. Then my phone rang. This time I didn't ignore it. It was my lawyer. I didn't want revenge with screaming. I wanted revenge with receipts. In the hearing, Marcus tried his performance again. The concerned husband. The victim. He spoke about betrayal. He spoke about stability. Then my lawyer handed over the DNA result, and Marcus's face tightened. My lawyer didn't over-explain. She didn't need to. She only asked, "So, Mr. Hayes, if the child is yours, why did you file infidelity claims?" Marcus blinked too fast. He glanced at the judge, then at me. He tried to pivot. "I had doubts," he said. My lawyer nodded, then slid the medical timeline forward. "And you scheduled a fertility evaluation?" Right before conception. Marcus's mouth opened slightly. No words. Then the screenshot of his restaurant photo appeared. Date stamped. And my lawyer asked, "Was your new partner aware you were still married?" Marcus finally lost control. "That's not relevant," he snapped. The judge's voice stayed calm, but it hit like a hammer. "Control yourself." And that was the moment. Marcus realized he wasn't directing the room anymore. He tried one last move. He pointed at me. "She's manipulating this." The judge looked at me. I didn't flinch, then looked back at him, and said the line Marcus never expected. "Your own documents show a pattern of coercion." Coercion, not marital conflict. Not he said, she said. Coercion. Marcus's hands shook for the first time. He gripped the table edge like it could save him. The custody recommendation shifted. The settlement terms shifted. And Marcus's favorite weapon, shame, snapped in half. He walked out of court pale and silent. The woman from the photo didn't show up. Funny how love disappears when the lies stop paying. And the only thing I thought was, karma doesn't scream. Karma files paperwork. I moved into a smaller place. Quiet, clean. No shouting in the walls. No footsteps outside my door. Just peace. I hung one picture in the nursery. A simple quote. Truth doesn't need volume. Marcus still tells people his version. Of course he does. Weak men love stories that make them heroes. But he can't take my name anymore. He can't take my child. He can't take my sanity. Because I learned something simple. When someone tries to ruin you with a lie, don't beg them to stop. Let them talk. Let them write it down. Then let the truth do what it always does. It arrives. Quietly. And it stays. Moral. If they frame you for survival, make your survival their consequence.